Coach Gaglione here. Today I want to talk about my favorite protein supplements that I use, and we're going to go through a little review of what my favorite flavors are. And while I don't think the flavors should be the most important thing, compliance is the science. So if you stick to it and you get your protein in on a regular basis, you're going to have better results in the long term. So if you have a protein powder that you like, you're going to be more likely to stick to it and use it long term. So my general recommendation is to get the majority of your protein from whole foods. So over the past 5 years on my weight loss journey, if you've been following along, I've been as heavy as 340 pounds, and now I'm about 205 to 210 on most days. And one of the biggest factors is making sure my protein intake has been high during my dieting phase especially. And on average, I'll get anywhere from 200 grams upwards of 250 grams of protein just from whole food alone. On days where I'm kind of struggling to meet that, or if I'm in a phase of the diet where I'm actually exceeding 300, 350 grams, sometimes I've done phases of my diet where I've even gone up to 400 grams of protein, and I'll supplement with a shake. And as of right now, I usually have 1 to 2 shakes per day. I'm going to explain why. So especially when I'm doing multiple workouts a day, I might do a cardio and a weight training session per day, oftentimes, depending on what phase of the program I'm in. I'm going to want to have something that's a little bit quicker digesting. I also like to have something that's a little bit more convenient, so I might do a whey protein shake that's quick digesting, especially if I'm having lower carbs. That might just be my only meal. Sometimes I might add the whey protein to like oats or even sweet potatoes, something like that, so I'll have that like a protein source with a carb as like a breakfast pre-workout. That works out really well. And for the situations like that, I want something that's going to be digested quickly. So anything that's kind of around the workout time, I'm going to use something that's a hydrolyzed whey. So that's the Phormula 1. So the Phormula 1 is basically a broken down hydrolyzed whey. So it's going to digest faster than even a regular whey concentrate or isolate. The hydrolyzed whey isolate is going to be the quickest absorbing, quickest digesting. So a couple of situations for this, even if you are in a cutting phase, the hydrolyzed whey is going to be a more effective option because it's going to be quicker, again, around the workout time. You want to get those nutrients and your protein to your body quickly and digest it quickly so you can go, it's not going to impede your training. If you are in a bulking phase and you're having protein throughout the day, this also might be a good choice because you're going to go through that protein quicker. So in terms of an actual meal replacement, the level 1 protein has a whey concentrate in it, as well as milk protein isolate. So this blend is going to be slower digesting. It's also just a little bit more calories from like fat and things like that. So this is going to be a better meal replacement option. So I usually have the level 1 as a protein pudding, as like a meal, especially when I'm on the go and I don't have a lot of time. So I'll usually prep this as a pudding ahead of time. I'll put it in my fridge, put 2 scoops in, maybe put some gelatin powder or collagen in it as well. So the level 1 protein I don't usually use as a shake. I usually make a pudding out of it and make it like a meal or a snack if I'm on the go. If I had to pick one personally for myself, I like the Phormula 1. I like the hydrolyzed whey just because I like to eat my food more. Because again, right now I've been dieting, I've been cutting, trying to lose fat. So I rather eat my food. But again, that being said, the level 1 option is nice. If number 1, if you're struggling to get your protein requirement, maybe you don't like to eat a lot of meat, and if you are a plant-based athlete. One of the things, one of our athletes, Mel, she's plant-based, is this vegan pro. So this mixes really well, it tastes really good. There's not a lot of great vegan powders on the market. This is a really good one. This comes from a pea and brown rice protein blend, which is great. So obviously pea, brown rice, and hemp are good. This doesn't have hemp in it. This is a pea protein and a brown rice. And the pea protein isolate we found super easy to digest. So even people with digestive issues. So if you are looking for a plant-based protein powder, the Vegan Power Pro from 1st-Phorm is great. So I want to just kind of go through, that's kind of like why and when you would use some of these supplements. But the biggest thing I recommend, as a general recommendation, if you're like a 200-pound guy, probably have 200 grams of protein at least. If you are a 150-pound woman, probably have 150 grams of protein. If you're a bigger guy, like even when I was like 340, I was still trying to get between 250 and 280 grams of protein a day. Now I'm actually getting more protein in than my body weight, but I think in general, it's a good rule of thumb. So even if you are a bigger guy, try to at least get 200, okay? But for most men, 200 is a good number to aim for it as a starting point, and then you can always build up to more, depending on what your dietary needs are, and you can consult a physician or registered dietitian. I'm not a doctor. This is some general advice. This is what has worked for me, and what we found has worked for most women is around their body weight as well. So most women, if they get somewhere between 120 and 150 grams, that's a good place to start depending on their body size. So again, for most men, around 200 is a good place to start, and then kind of play with the numbers, see what works for you. And then for women, somewhere between like 120, 150, depending on what your goals are. If your goal is more fat loss related, I would have a higher protein intake. If it's more muscle building related, then you might want to have more carbs and less protein. All right, so I want to get into my favorite flavors. So if you're just kind of a more basic guy, you know, the level 1 milk chocolate. So if you need a meal replacement, the level 1 milk chocolates are really good for chocolate. And then the Phormula 1 chocolate milkshakes. If you want chocolate flavors, this would be a pre-workout or a post-workout situation. This would be a meal replacement situation, the level 1. So for chocolate flavors, the milk chocolate and the chocolate milkshake is great. Again, I've been having protein powder for so many years, so I don't really use the chocolate flavors too much, but they're really good if you're a chocolate lover. In terms of my favorites for meal replacement, I really like this ice cream sandwich flavor. This is really good. Ice cream sandwiches kind of brings me back to, you know, my chubby fat kid days, and it just tastes really good. So it literally tastes like an ice cream sandwich. It's a little bit more of like a vanilla type flavor, but this is really good. It's kind of like little bits. It almost looks like there's bits of like that kind of the crust, if you will, the kind of the bread, if you will, for the ice cream sandwich. So that's one of my favorites. And then this is an acquired taste. I do like cinnamon a lot, so this is almost kind of like a snickerdoodle type flavor, a cinnamon cookie batter. So this is one of my favorites for meal replacement. So I use these a lot for my protein pudding. So those are meal replacement powders, the level 1. And this is the trio of breakfast cereals. So we got CTC, which, as I'm sure you can read between the lines, it kind of tastes like a Cinnamon Toast Crunch type cereal. The Magical Charms kind of tastes like a Lucky Charms type cereal. So I guess they just, you know, obviously for copyright reasons they don't put that on, but you guys get the idea. You can read between the lines. And the Loops fruit kind of tastes like Fruit Loops. So oddly enough, my favorite cereal growing up was Cinnamon Toast Crunch, but I think the Looped fruit is actually my favorite as far as how the protein tastes, with the CTC being a close second. So I really like the Looped fruit the best. It's amazing for my breakfast. I put that with my oats, and as well as, again, the CTC I like to put with my. So I kind of like to mix and match. The Magical Charms is really good too, but I would say this ranks third for me. So I've been kind of playing with these. Are kind of my top go-to personally. So if you do like a cinnamon flavor, the CTC is amazing. So if you ever liked Cinnamon Toast Crunch as a kid, this is like really good. And I wasn't a big Fruit Loops fan, but man, this Looped fruit is amazing. And sometimes even when I'm deep in a cut, I can't have as much fruit, so it kind of provides a little bit of a sweet tooth fix. So this is probably my favorite of all, for all the flavors. So these are again good for a pre-workout situation. You could have the shake by itself, shake pre or post-workout, or both, depending on your needs. And then you could also put this with I like to put it with like a sweet potato. So like if you're doing like a cinnamon toast crunch with like this, the sweet potato would be like amazing because it's kind of like cinnamon on the sweet potato. The Loop fruit would be great with like oats and things like that. So you can kind of get creative with where you put your protein and carb source. But that's basically it. So we do get a kickback for if you guys use our links below. So we do help you support the channel because this does cost money to produce this content. And we appreciate your support. So if you have any questions, also feel free to email me or DM me on like Instagram. But give this a follow if this video is helpful. I want to kind of show you a little bit of insight on what I actually used for myself, and then if it could help benefit you. You know, everyone's going to need more protein no matter what their goal. That's one of the things that we find with all our athletes and our members here. So if you guys need some good protein powder, check out the links below if you want to support the channel. Thank you guys for watching. Until next time, stay strong, and we'll see you soon.